you're in New South Wales at the moment, where community transmission is high, the risks associated with AstraZeneca are lower than your risk of acquiring COVID from the community. We're talking about the risk of TTS with AstraZeneca. Hi, it's Dr. Emily Isham for Rare Cancers Australia again. Now, I know that we were going to address the COVID vaccine myths and misconceptions, and I'm still really keen to do that, and we're working on it. But there have been some developments in New South Wales over the weekend, which have sadly included 2 deaths. So I think it's really important we just clarify things about the vaccine today and eligibility. As we've seen over the weekend, COVID-19, particularly this Delta variant, can affect young people, those without comorbidities and previous risk factors. It's really important that we reassess risk. Now, there are 2 vaccines in Australia, the AstraZeneca and the Pfizer. Both vaccines are very good. Both vaccines give you over 90% risk reduction in being hospitalised or dying from COVID. Both vaccines reduce your risk of transmitting it to those around you by over 70%. These are very good protective vaccines. We really need to understand that one is not better than the other at protecting against disease. They are both very effective. Now, ATAGI, the board of experts that make the recommendations in Australia, previously recommended that those over 60 get AstraZeneca and those under 60 get the Pfizer. Well, Pfizer is in short supply, as we all know, but everyone is still eligible for AstraZeneca. And so if we look at risk-benefit, maybe if you're in a state with no community transmission and you're a young person, maybe you'd like to just wait to get the AstraZeneca or wait to see if Pfizer's coming. However, if you're in New South Wales at the moment, where community transmission is high, the risks associated with AstraZeneca are lower than your risk of acquiring COVID from the community. We're talking about the risk of TTS with AstraZeneca. And in under 60-year-olds, it's about 2 in 100,000 risk of getting TTS. That's maybe like 2 people in a full MCG. And in over 60-year-olds, it's about 1 in 100,000. That's only with the first dose. With the second dose, your risk goes down to 1 in a million of getting TTS. So that risk is really small. Now, that risk might be too much for you to take if you're in a place with no community transmission. But that risk is really tiny when you're in a current outbreak zone. So you need to go and get counselling to look at your individual risk-benefit assessment to see if it's worth you as a young person getting the AstraZeneca. And I would highly recommend that those in Sydney who are considering getting the AstraZeneca go ahead and get it now, because it's really important that you get both doses, because that's the most protective. One dose is not as protective. So you need to get that ball rolling now, because you need a gap between 2 doses. So the interval used to be recommended as 12 weeks. Now they've said you can have it up to 4 to 8 weeks between the 2 doses of AstraZeneca. So you can get vaccinated. Everyone over 18 is eligible as per the ATAGI recommendations. Pfizer is the one that there are strict eligibility criteria for, so not everyone can get it, but you can still get vaccinated. And getting vaccinated reduces your risk of being hospitalised with severe COVID. It reduces your risk of death from severe COVID. It reduces your risk of symptomatic COVID and long COVID, which could go on for years and years as far as we know. And it reduces your risk of transmitting it to your loved ones, those around you, those who are vulnerable, those who can't get vaccinated, the really young, who haven't yet been able to access the vaccine. And these are all really, really important benefits. So let's pause and reassess our risk. Right now, in the outbreak of New South Wales, the risk of TTS is much smaller, much smaller than the risk of getting COVID and all the consequences that go with that. So I hope that's helpful. I hope if you have any questions you feel confident asking, I'd be happy to answer them. I hope that you feel more empowered now to go and chat to your GP and get counselling about your personal choice, or even go to the eligibility checker on the Australian government website, because that can also help assist you in your decision making. I hope that's helpful. I'll see you next time.